it wouldn't come as a surprise to my family and friends that I stand here today to inspire you all, because as a child, I think I was mocked for my foot and mouth situations. Just to give you a brief story, meri kahani airlift wali hai, the one that Akshay Kumar told all of you. So I was born and brought up in Kuwait, in a joint family of Vaishnavas. So we were Krishna bhakts. We heard Krishna stories all the time, and I was always lost in the wonder of this one emotion that we all feel called love. Love is what ruled my mind, not just because it's something we live by, but it's also because, ironically, today being Mother's Day, my mother always said one thing: "Insan pyar ka bhukha hai." As exaggerated as it sounds, it's the truth. We can go without food and water for days when we're in love. And that's just one side of love that we experienced. But the truth is that that kind of shaped the core of me. When I'd hear stories of Kanha playing with the gopis, being one with the gopas, being one with animals and nature, I said, that's what I want to be. I think somewhere I aspired to be love. I know it sounds too big and large a thing, especially when I was going through the kind of childhood like I did. We were a family of 5 kids, and typically everyone in my family was an achiever. One a doctor, one an engineer, one a chartered accountant. Everyone did something, and they had something charted out for themselves. And academically, they were so brilliant that I used to wonder, am I going to do anything that's going to be excellent? I knew I liked dancing and singing and all of that, but I never even performed or outperformed in school. So I would typically have aunts and cousins saying, "Oh, poor thing, you know, she talks rubbish. She doesn't even get great grades. What is she going to do?" And I think I felt like I had a mental handicap. Like I was growing up thinking, will I ever make it? And then will I do anything? But there was just one belief. Krishna gave so much importance to everything he touched upon. And I said, if I'm one of them, I'm special, right? There has to be something amazing about me. Now, let me just quickly tell you about my personality. Lots of days of crying and feeling depressed about how people thought of me, and always meeting people and saying, "Oh, they know so much more than I, and what will I ever do in this world?" There were just a couple of interests I had. One was Linda Goodman, because I loved zodiac signs and anything that had to do with the occult or the mysterious or mystique. And I think our religion gives us a lot of that. And so I would be very intrigued by even spirituality at some level. But I think that handicap helped me go inside of me, because I was constantly looking for answers. What is my uniqueness? Everybody seems to be getting great grades. Some of them are even great dancers. Some of them are performing out there. They're getting so many accolades. What is Archana Pania going to do? And the only answer I could tell myself when people ask, "Kya karogi?" I would say, "Khush rahungi." That was my answer. That I'd be happy. They said, "Wo to hum sab rahenge, lekin karoge kya?" I said, "Jisse khushi mile." And that's where my journey started. I started embracing that uniqueness about me, that I always wanted to give and receive happiness. And to me, the core of that was love. If you went about loving everything, not being jealous of other people's achievements, not feeling bad about that someone's doing better than you, you will be special, because those qualities don't come to everybody naturally. And quite frankly, that's probably where my first achievement came. Accepting myself in many ways. It was a very hard journey. I cried at many, many, many occasions, thinking I was very different because I was accident prone. I would laugh the loudest. In fact, one incident where I actually got this scar was when I was bleeding so profusely that my neighbor, who actually took me to the hospital, said, you didn't cry, you were laughing. And I thought I was weird, right? But that was my uniqueness. And the laughter brings me to my first achievement. When I became a radio jockey, I'd gone to audition. And there was a gentleman who is now a friend, and he said, I'm sure you're going to make it through. And I said, why would you say that with so much confidence? Because there were such amazing people there who had traveled the world, who were achievers already, some of them VJs. And I said, I haven't even participated in debates or any kind of elocution, so why would he say that? And he said, no, you know why? Because you have a great laughter. And I laughed at him. I said, I'm going to go inside and talk. I'm not going to laugh. Guess what? A year later, the radio station had an entire promo dedicated to my laughter. And I think that's what it is all about. If you knew your uniqueness and lived by that, there would be more people who would embrace you for that. The problem is, we unfortunately live in a society that points out what's wrong about you, as opposed to what's right in being that wrong. Because sometimes madness is what gets you to where you are. For example, I recently heard a wonderful talk by Shah Rukh Khan, and he said, most people said, you don't look like a chocolate boy, and he's supposed to be the most romantic hero ever. Because he embraced his quality of being this romantic man in every mode of life. Even as somebody who literally has no headline, I really don't. I mean, I love astrology, and trust me, I don't have a headline. I usually put my heart before my mind. And most people make fun of it. In fact, even as we speak today, I have an extremely logical husband who helps me, handle my life and make order out of it. But I just follow my heart. And I'm not saying it's the right thing or the right way to be, but it works for me. Because I'll tell you how. The seeds of wanting to be in an audio medium came from a film called Lion King. When I was watching it, and I said, every character in that film is so unique, so distinct, I want to do this, I want to be a voice. And I remember joining a class and nothing happening after that, but I worked really hard at it. I would go into studios, ask people for opportunities, and this is something I embraced about myself. I want to do this. Of course, I still haven't voiced for a cartoon or an animated film, but I'm a radio jockey, for crying out loud. And I always go back to my school where in my report card, the teachers always remarked, very capable, but very talkative. And I think I'm being paid for this today. I still wonder, why is it so hard for us to accept every person has magic in them? ऐसे क्यों बोलते हैं कि चढ़ते हुए सूरज को सलाम करते हैं? I love sunsets too. I meet people in everyday life, whether it's the man who serves me coffee and I look at him and wonder how many people just call him and say, coffee lao, chai lao, ye lao, wo lao, time pe nahi aaye. It's difficult to deal with a day like that. The least what we can do for other people is smile, be nice. How hard is it? We're all human beings in all our journeys. All of us are struggling, but yet we want to make it competition. We want to look better than the other. And it's all about some sort of aggressive journey that we've gotten into, as opposed to being kind to each other. That's why when we see kindness, I think it's the most rarest thing ever. And sometimes I tend to pride myself on having that heart, even on my radio show. Because luckily, I'm co-RJ'd by this man who's constantly giving you statistics and yarn. And I'm like, thank God I have the connect. Hi, who's the next caller? That's what really gets me excited. What's the story? And everybody does. That's why we're here today, to hear each other's story. Let me tell you about my love life. It wasn't easy at all. My first heartbreak came from a man across the globe in America who chose to leave me for another woman. And most people were perplexed, saying, he left you? And I was like, yeah. And it hurt so much, but nobody knew. Because to me, my sorrow was my own to handle. And most people saw me smiling through that phase. Why is this important? Because all of us go through downfalls and feel like this is the worst phase of my life. Why has this happened to me? But if you choose to smile through it, like that is a part of your journey as much as the successes, you will see grace. A kind of grace that shines upon people that I can't even explain. The kind of grace that when you see someone who doesn't have eyes or don't have limbs, but yet are smiling with a spirit, that kind of grace. We're extremely fortunate that we have everything going for us, and yet we cry in those situations. I always smiled, and still was called mad, by the way. And when I finally found my man, it took me 12 years to accept that, yes, this is him. And guess why? Because despite belonging to a Sindhi family where girls are supposed to be married off at 22, 23, and they should be off and having babies, and people are telling me, are you sure you belong to the Sindhi community? How come you're not married? And I'm like, because I'm not sure. I embrace that uniqueness about me as well. I said, I will marry when I'm the happiest, when I'll feel it in the core, not because I'm supposed to be married. And I cannot tell you the kind of loving eyes, the blessings, and the joy that people feel when they see me and my husband together today. It's all about embracing the uniqueness about you. Don't be shy of it. Yes, there will be people who will call you mad like they called me, but there will be moments like this, shockingly so, when I'll be invited to a TEDx and be told, share your story with the world. Embrace your uniqueness. It's what makes you you. And it's what makes you separate from everybody else. And that's what makes a beautiful world. Let me just quickly cite examples. Sachin Tendulkar, if he thought that his height and his lack of robust body, like a Kapil Dev, was not there, and that's why he couldn't be a cricketer, he wouldn't be the biggest legends we would have today. Or Einstein, he was dyslexic. And thank God for Tare Zameen Par. We all know that maybe some of us actually did suffer from that, because I would very often fall asleep in my Hindi class. But he was the biggest and the greatest scientist. Some of the most amazing achievers in the world are the ones who accepted their uniqueness, that core. Celebrate that and make that the best quality about you. Thank you, everyone, and I hope this has made you feel and see that everybody is special. Thank you.